Welcome to this video on the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In August 1945, the world witnessed a pivotal moment in human history, as the first and only instances of nuclear weapons being used in warfare. These events not only brought World War II to an end but also shaped the course of the modern world. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945 marked a pivotal moment in human history, as the first and only instances of nuclear weapons being used in warfare. These devastating events not only played a crucial role in bringing World War II to an end but also shaped the course of the modern world. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima, resulting in the immediate deaths of tens of thousands of people and widespread destruction. 3 days later, on August 9, a second atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, causing further devastation and loss of life. The immense power of these weapons and the horrifying consequences of their use led to Japan's unconditional surrender on August 15, 1945, effectively ending World War II. These bombings ushered in a new era defined by the potential for unimaginable destruction and a tense balance of power between nations possessing nuclear weapons. The specter of nuclear warfare that emerged from the ashes of Hiroshima and Nagasaki has since shaped global politics, diplomacy, and efforts toward disarmament, leaving an indelible mark on the course of human history. In this article, we will examine the events leading up to the bombings themselves, and the lasting impact they have had on the world. The development of the atomic bomb can be traced back to the Manhattan Project, a top-secret research initiative led by the United States during World War II. The project's inception began in 1939, with Albert Einstein's letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt warning of the potential for Germany to develop a powerful new weapon using nuclear fission. This warning prompted the United States to initiate research into nuclear weapons, resulting in the formation of the Manhattan Project in 1942. Several key figures played a significant role in the Manhattan Project, including physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, who was appointed as the project's scientific director, and General Leslie Groves, who oversaw its military aspects. The project also benefited from the expertise of numerous other renowned scientists, such as Enrico Fermi, Leo Szilard, and Richard Feynman. The Manhattan Project's success hinged on a series of groundbreaking scientific discoveries. One such breakthrough was the understanding of nuclear fission, the process by which an atomic nucleus splits into smaller nuclei, releasing an immense amount of energy. Scientists also discovered the concept of the chain reaction, in which a single fission event triggers a self-sustained series of subsequent fissions, amplifying the energy release. These insights led to the development of the first atomic bombs, known as Little Boy and Fat Man. The former was a uranium-based weapon, while the latter used plutonium. Both bombs harnessed the destructive power of nuclear fission to produce explosions that were orders of magnitude greater than those of conventional explosives. The development of the atomic bomb raised numerous ethical concerns. As scientists grappled with the implications of their work, many questioned the morality of creating such a devastating weapon. Some argued that the use of atomic bombs would save lives by bringing a swift end to the war, while others feared that the bombings would lead to an escalation of violence and trigger an arms race. These concerns persisted even after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, as the world became increasingly aware of the long-term effects of radiation exposure and the potential for mutually assured destruction in future conflicts. The ethical dilemmas surrounding the use of nuclear weapons continue to be a subject of debate and reflection, shaping discussions on disarmament and the pursuit of global peace. In the years leading up to the atomic bombings, the geopolitical landscape was fraught with tension and conflict. World War II had been raging since 1939, and by 1945, the Allied powers, including the United States, were focused on defeating the Axis powers, particularly Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. While Germany had surrendered in May 1945, Japan remained defiant, fighting fiercely to defend its territory in the Pacific theater. As the United States sought to bring the war to a close, it became increasingly evident that a ground invasion of Japan would be costly in terms of lives and resources. The Battle of Okinawa, which took place from April to June 1945, further underscored the potential for heavy casualties in an invasion of the Japanese mainland. Faced with the prospect of a protracted and bloody conflict, President Harry S. Truman made the decision to use the atomic bomb as a means of forcing Japan's surrender. Truman's rationale was based on several factors, including the desire to minimize American and Allied casualties, bring a swift end to the war, and demonstrate the United States military might to the Soviet Union, which was emerging as a rival superpower. Truman and his advisors believed that the shock and awe of the atomic bombings would compel Japan to surrender, thereby avoiding a potentially costly invasion. The bombings were also seen as a means of asserting American dominance in the post-war world and shaping the geopolitical landscape to the United States' advantage. The decision to use the atomic bomb was made within the context of broader international diplomacy, particularly the Potsdam Conference, held in July 1945. The conference brought together leaders of the Allied powers, including Truman, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin, to discuss the terms of Germany's surrender and the future of Europe. During the conference, the Allied leaders issued the Potsdam Declaration, which called for Japan's unconditional surrender and warned of prompt and utter destruction if Japan refused. Although the declaration did not explicitly mention the atomic bomb, it foreshadowed the impending use of this devastating new weapon to bring the war to a close. Ultimately, the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki would serve not only as a means of ending World War II, but also as a defining moment in international relations and the dawn of the Cold War era. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped the first atomic bomb, codenamed Little Boy, on the city of Hiroshima. The B-29 bomber Enola Gay, piloted by Colonel Paul Tibbets, carried the bomb, which was detonated at an altitude of approximately 1,900 feet above the city. The explosion resulted in a fireball that incinerated everything within a 1-mile radius and generated a shockwave that leveled buildings for miles. 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, a second atomic bomb, codenamed Fat Man, was dropped on the city of Nagasaki. The B-29 bomber Boxcar, piloted by Major Charles Sweeney, carried out this mission. The bomb exploded at an altitude of about 1,650 feet, causing a similarly catastrophic level of destruction. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki resulted in immense human suffering and devastation. Estimates of the death toll vary, but it is generally believed that approximately 70,000 people died instantly in Hiroshima, with another 70,000 injured. In Nagasaki, around 40,000 people were killed immediately, and tens of thousands more were injured. In both cities, many more would succumb to their injuries or the effects of radiation exposure in the weeks, months, and years that followed. The bombings caused widespread destruction, with much of the city's infrastructure reduced to rubble. Survivors, known as hibakusha, faced a multitude of challenges in the aftermath, including severe burns, injuries, radiation sickness, and long-term health issues such as cancer and other radiation-related illnesses. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki had a profound and lasting impact on Japanese society. The devastation wrought by the bombings, coupled with the realization that their nation could not withstand the power of this new weapon, led Emperor Hirohito to announce Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945. In the years that followed, Japan underwent a period of occupation and reconstruction, during which the nation grappled with the physical, psychological, and social scars left by the bombings. The experiences of the hibakusha and the horrors of nuclear warfare became ingrained in the collective consciousness of the Japanese people, fostering a deep commitment to peace and a strong anti-nuclear sentiment that persists to this day. The bombings also served as a stark reminder of the potential for humanity's self-destruction through the use of nuclear weapons, prompting global efforts to prevent the proliferation of such weapons and promote disarmament, as well as inspiring continued reflection on the moral implications of their use. Following the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's unconditional surrender on August 15, 1945, bringing World War II to an end. On September 2, 1945, Japanese officials signed the instrument of surrender aboard the U.S. Missouri in Tokyo Bay, formalizing the end of the war and marking the beginning of Japan's occupation and reconstruction under Allied supervision. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki ushered in the atomic age, a period characterized by rapid advancements in nuclear technology, the proliferation of nuclear weapons, and the emergence of a tense geopolitical climate. The bombings demonstrated the immense destructive power of nuclear weapons, prompting an arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Both superpowers sought to expand their nuclear arsenals and develop more advanced weapon systems, leading to a precarious balance of power known as mutually assured destruction, MAD. This doctrine posited that the threat of annihilation on both sides would deter either nation from initiating a nuclear conflict, resulting in an uneasy and protracted standoff that lasted for decades. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki had a profound and lasting impact on global politics and diplomacy. The bombings demonstrated the devastating potential of nuclear weapons, which in turn spurred international efforts to promote disarmament and prevent the proliferation of such weapons. The establishment of the United Nations in 1945, with its mission to maintain international peace and security, was a direct response to the horrors of World War II, including the atomic bombings. Throughout the years, the UN has played a crucial role in facilitating nuclear disarmament talks and negotiations, such as the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons (NPT) and the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty (CTBT). The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki have had a profound and lasting impact on humanity. They serve as a stark reminder of the potential for destruction and loss of life that nuclear weapons possess, leading to a heightened awareness of the importance of disarmament and the prevention of nuclear warfare.